Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Featherhoof, and today we are building a brand new PC. If you didn't watch my previous video on the unboxing and the parts I used and the methodology behind it, you can find a link to it in the description below or somewhere on screen. I think you can do that on YouTube. So you can watch that first if you really want to know that. If you just want to see me build a PC, this is the video for you. First note, and I want to state and stress this again, I'm no expert, so don't take everything I say as dogma. I may be wrong in some of the things I say, but I picked up information here and there on the internet while trying to research so that I can do this properly by myself. So if I say something wrong, make sure you correct me in the comments below so that anyone else who tries to come and use this video as a guide can be corrected. So without further ado, we're going to get started right now. First thing we're going to do today is set up the motherboard, get it all nice and prepped. So we're going to go ahead and take it out of its protective covering, and for the first time, unseal it from its box, which looks like it might be harder to do than I thought. Trying to figure out how to do this. That's just... There we go. Got a nice little plastic underneath it. Don't know if that's a good thing or not. Move this to the side. There we go, here's our motherboard. And we're going to go ahead and install the CPU, which actually I forgot to unbox. So we go ahead and we take our processor, again, an i7-8700K, take it out. What we need to do is we need to find the golden triangle on the CPU, locate the triangle on the motherboard, line them up properly, lift the latch, everything, gently lower it into place, and lower the lid. Cap falls off, and there we go. Next, what we're going to do is install the RAM, which, as you can see, I've already gone and replaced the heatsink headers with the new RGB, well, the new LED ones, they're not really RGB. So we can take these old ones, set them aside, and remember to remove, I've already done it in most of the cases, the plastic covering over the Corsair logo, which I just left one on just so I can show you guys. Just peel that right off, set it aside. Now, according to the motherboard, you can see right here, if you can see it or not, it says which ports to use when you're doing just dual channel. So it wants us to use DIMM A2 and DIMM B2. So we're just going to pop those open. Okay, only one side pops open, okay. Let's pop that open. Orient them so they're the proper, because they only go one way. Place it inside. Gently insert it. And then it should click when you're in. And there you go. Next, we're going to install the NVMe. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take off the heatsink shield by removing these two screws first. Set them aside where you're not going to lose them. Once again, this is straight metal, has some sharp edges. Be careful with that. And we need to move. Can I take that off, or? Actually, I think we have a bag with other inserts for that, because I don't think that goes all the way across. Let me find out. Oh, no, that's exactly where we want it to be. So you gently insert it. This is my first time doing this, so I'm not exactly sure if I'm doing it right, so cut me some slack. Lay it down, and then put the heat shield back on. There we go. Oh, no. Remember to remove the, what do you call it? The heat, whatchamacallit. This is a transferable of heat thing, the thermal shield. Remove the plastic from the thermal shield, then replace it. There we go. Uh-oh. Line up properly because it is sticky. And put the screws back in. I don't know how much torque I need to give this, so I'm a little nervous. Like I said, I've never done an NVMe before. So I'm just going to give it that much torque. It's not moving, so I'm taking that as a good sign. Next step, go ahead and remove the plastic covering from your heat shields and heat sinks and your back plate. There we go. Set them aside. And now we're going to go ahead and work on the case. Now we got our case. I've already gone ahead and I've removed some of the things. I've removed the extra tray that was here. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to, what we're going to do is we're going to move the things that we don't need, or at least I don't need for this build, starting with the fans, which we're going to replace, as well as the case's built-in fan controller. So we're going to go ahead and get that stuff out of the case right now. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this. This is held in. It's stuck there for the moment, but we can remove it. We're going to start by unplugging the power header to it, as well as the fans. Taking the covering off, screws, hold it in place. And now that's out of our way. Gives us more room to play with when we go ahead to install our NZXT grid. We're going to put it right on in here, so we can plug all our fans into it. So now we're going to go ahead and take out the fans. Starting with the case's rear fan, we're going to go ahead and undo the screws that are in the back. You guys can see that or not. Yep. Brought the cable through. And there we go. Taking out the case's front fans is going to be somewhat easy. We just got to take off the magnetic. Okay, just have to give it a little bit of force. It's not magnetic, it's in there with tabs. Thought I read it was magnetic. I'm wrong. And just like before, take out those screws holding it in each of the corners. And once again, got the cables you've already removed. Route them through and take the fans out. Okay, so now we have our three 140mm NZXT air RGB fans. They are airflow fans, not static pressure fans. What you need to do is, because these are going to go into a Hue Plus, you need to make sure that you align them properly, know which way you're going to align them when you put them in the case. In my case, because I will be having the Hue Plus oriented towards the back, so the rear exhaust fan is going to be the first in the line. So we're going to go ahead and put here, if you look, it says in and out. So you only need to go out on the first fan. You'll know the difference because the out cables that are supposed to be for the out are wrapped in the white tie. The ones that are for the in are wrapped in the black tie. Even though they both say out, they are actually very different headers. Okay, I was wrong before. Wiring these up is actually a little weird, but basically all the ones that were in the white with twist tie are the ones you want to use. I'm not exactly sure what the ones with the black twist ties are for, because they don't fit in the out header. They're too big. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to put these back in and route the wires going out the back of the case. Mount your rear fan with the cables going up so you can route it through the top and back of the case. Also in the exhaust position. You can tell the exhaust position on the NZXT airs because the LED ring, RGB ring, is on the intake side of the fan. My own sake, I want to try to get this as in the middle as possible as I can, because that will bother me if I don't. I'm sure this is more for motherboard positioning than anything. Next, we need to insert the standoffs for the ATX motherboard. I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, but each one's labeled with a 1, 2, or 3, or a variation thereof. 1 for ATX, 2 for ATX Micro, and Mini ITX. So we need to put it in for all ATX, ones that have a 1 next to it, which, with this handy little tool given to us by Cooler Master, we're going to go ahead and put the inserts in. With all 9 of our standoffs in place, we're going to go ahead and insert the motherboard. Taking care to line up the I/O shield, which the ROG Asus Maximus 10 Hero already has installed. Go ahead and line that up. And go ahead and screw in your screws to support it down. So next thing we're going to do is put in the Kraken X52, which first thing we're going to have to do is something I probably should have done. Some would say I should have done before the motherboard was put in the case. I like it better because it's in the case. It's, you know, it's in a holder. We're going to put it on the back plate. Which first, let's go ahead and... Because we have an LG 1151 socket, we're going to put the 4 standoffs in the lower positions. And we're going to put it with the rectangular portion vertical. Line it up with the holes. And push it in. That's it. Push it in. Now the front of the case, back inside, we go ahead and put our 4 standoffs in each section. Okay, this is my first time doing a water cooling. This is a different bracket than I'm used to. It's still kind of loose in there. It moves, even though everything's torqued down all the way. So I'm hoping that when we put the block on there with a retention bracket, that it will actually snap that tight in place. Hoping. Like I said, this is my first time doing this. Let's find out. Okay, so we've already put the radiator inside. It's hitting in there loosely. We're going to go ahead and put our block on there. As you can see, I've cleaned off the pad. Got nice and clean and free, which I probably shouldn't have taken that off yet, because first we need to apply the thermal paste. There's many people out there banning about all kinds of different ways to do this method. To do this, there's one tried and true method to do, and that is the small P. Now let's see if I can get this right in the center of your CPU. Just put, oh, my hands are shaky. This is the part that always scares me the most. I don't know why, but it always scares me. As center as you can, just put a small P shape. I might be putting a little too much on there, but I'd rather have too much than too little. Right down in there. And there we go. That's all you gotta do. You take your block, line it up with... okay, this isn't working as well as I hoped. Line it up with your standoffs. Push it down. And get your your thumb screws. You don't want to torque them out all the way. You just want to give it so it feels that you got a little bit of give there. It looks like it is going into place. It looks like it's nice and tight. There we go. And there we go. Of course, the moment of truth will be when we get this on and we're looking at it and we look at the temperatures and we see whether the thing is, overheated or not. Then we know, oops, I put the heatsink compound in there incorrectly, which is always the moment of truth, the scary part. So now we're going to put the radiator up in our radiator shield. I'm putting my radiator in a push configuration, which now that I'm looking at it, it does look as if you can put this in a put a 280 millimeter in here. Looks like I should have just gone the whole route. But now I know, now you guys know, because this thing lines up in the middle screw holes and not the outermost. So, yeah, something I wish I knew it beforehand. Okay, I've installed the fans. I've routed them properly, I think, for the RGB, in series. Lined them up with the back exhaust and the top intake, so they're all in series with one another. So now we're going to go ahead and mount the radiator to the top in what is called the push formation, in which the exhaust fans are pushing the hot air of the radiator out of the case, as opposed to pull, so if the fans are on this side, they pull it out. The reason I'm doing it that way, again, this is one of those things that's contentious. Some people say you should do it one way, some say you should do it another. This way may, because of the type of graphics card I have, is a dissipation type, which means heat gets dissipated from it inside the case. That's going to lead to higher temperatures because it's taking that hot air and pushing it against the rad. But that's what I'm hoping the exhaust fan's there for to mitigate. The front fans are, they're bigger 140s. The ones that are on the radiator are 120s. So I'm hoping you know, that will make a difference in some way, shape, or form. And there we go. I've secured it in its backmost formation because I'm going to be putting a disk drive in here, so I don't want that to interfere with cable routing and everything. So with that out of the way, we're going to do a little bit of cable management right there. And we're going to go ahead and move on from the radiator. Now with our fans inserted, the radiator in its case, I'm now doing something I should have done before I put this down, plugging in its static power cable. You really want to do this when it's not in the case, because you can't really see what you're doing. When you can't see what you're doing, that's when you accidentally break pins. There we go. And our USB 2.0. Go ahead and route these out the back, if you can. Because then I should have done this before I put all this in. Leaving enough space for your 8-pin power header to your CPU. And take your last remaining cable, and according to the directions, you place it into the 4-pin header labeled CPU fan, which is strange to me. I don't know why I wouldn't put in an AOI pump, but you know, that's what the directions say to do. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, I've taken out the SSD trays, and I've routed my wires for the front panel wires. So we're going to go ahead and plug in our HD audio. Don't like the crink on that, but it's best I can do. My USB 3.0. USB 2.0. And I plugged in all the other things like the power switch and reset switch and all, and the hard drive light already into this Q connector, which then goes in like so. And then we'll just pull the wires back, you know, the excess wires, wrap them behind, and we'll take care of that. Next, we're going to install the graphics card. Just go ahead and push back the tab on your x16 PCIe 3.0 slot. Remove all the plastic from your graphics card, which apparently this one seems to have a metric ton of. Remembering also to get the 2 pieces from the back plate as well, because it locks up the exhaust holes. Remove the PCIe slot wrapping. Something I should have done to begin with. I forgot again. Remove the 2nd and 3rd protectors on the back plate. Gently slide the card into place. Push it down until it clicks. And return the screws to their appropriate place. After adjusting the power connectors on the EVGA power link, go ahead and install on the power link on the GPU itself. Now remove the 6th cover on the back plate. And install the Elgato HD60 Pro. Return the screw. And there we go. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and install the power supply. Starting with all the cables. First, we're going to put in our 24-pin motherboard header. Our SATA power. This build will require a second SATA power, Molex power for the NZXT business, CPU, 8-pin header, 8-pin VGA header, and a second 8-pin VGA header. Go ahead and remove the, if you can, seeing as they love to lock down thumb screws with a machine, your power supply cage, header, or cover, whatever you would call this. With the included screws, go ahead and start by putting in the screws to hold the faceplate onto your power supply. Go ahead and feed your cables into the back of the case and pull them out the rear side, through the rear panel. Once again, because of the case has a tray at the bottom, you're going to put with a fan face down, push it in. Screw the thumb screws back into place. Find it. Yep. And finish screwing your power supply onto the faceplate. With our wires routed, go ahead and take your 24-pin motherboard header. Go ahead and shove that into place. Your cables can be hard to maneuver. Jeez, that was actually the hardest one I've ever had to put in. And your 8-pin CPU power, if you can. I always hate this cable because there's never enough room. And there we go. That took longer than I would have liked. Now we're going to move on to some more of the hard drives and the disk drive. So we can get, I just realized that the SATA cables, the SATA connectors are underneath my graphics card, so that's going to be a little fun to maneuver. Take your hard drive trays, by squeezing them, pull them out, put them in. There's the designated spot in the tray. Shall click into place, and then with the SATA section facing in, place it right back inside. It should click, and repeat for the second one. So now we're going to go ahead and put the disk drive in. Go ahead and find the section of choice that you like best, or the one that will fit. In this case, the radiator actually stops me from putting in the disk drive on the top tray, even with it pushed all the way back. So these little push things, you reach in, push them in, pull it out. And you take your disk drive, and actually, here's the fun bit, actually. There's no screwing involved anymore. At least not in this case. If you look, this little section says locked. You just push that to open, push this all the way in. It's a little too far in. We push it right until it's level, and back to the lock position. It ain't going nowhere. So now we just got to get some SATA power to this guy and SATA cables and figure out how to do that. Seeing as I put the graphics card in prematurely. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to hook up that SATA. So we have the motherboard came with 2 right-angle SATAs and 2 straight SATAs. For this build, what I'm going to do is I'm going to not use one of the right angles. The first right angle is going to go right up inside here to the disk drive. Then we're going to probably route it through the back. The top grommet here. I've got it twisted up. Hold up. Find a place to push it through the back. It's just for wire running. It's going a very short distance, but it's still, I want it routed behind so that I can still route all the cables behind, keep them all clumped together. One of the things is, oh God, it's gonna be hard to get in here with it sitting up. Hold on, guys, I'm gonna have to set this down. motherboard, if I use the NVMe slot, it's going to use one of my SATA ports. Problem is I didn't find documentation that said which one, so I'm going to have to guess on this one. Okay, so I need it to spin like that. I know it's down here. And I found it with surprisingly little problem. In the back, we're going to connect our two 2TB SSHDs. Don't ask me what was different about those sides. I just think that side looks nicer. I'm going to go ahead and feed it through the same grommet as the last one. We're fitting a lot through this grommet, but that's how it's going to go. Again, because I decided to put the graphics card in first, I've sort of screwed myself, so that's something for you guys to note when you're making yours. Do it in the proper order, not what I did. So now we got our SATA cables in, do a little bit of cleanup of the cables, and we're going to move on to our next section. Okay, using one of the SSD trays, I pulled it out from this spot here because it's the only one that'll work. This has the USB 3.0 in its way, so it's not going to work there. I was kind of hoping to put it there. I didn't want it. The Elgato is like, I didn't want it up against here blocking this, but I didn't want it up against the Hue either. But I'd rather it be up against the Hue than the graphics card. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the Hue with the ports facing towards the back, line it up with the holes, and screw it into place with the provided screws. With it mounted, you're going to go into your case, and you're going to pull out the cables that you're going to need. And in mine, I'm going to need the Molex power cable, the USB 2.0, helps if you orient it properly, and one of these, I believe this. Actually, both of these. No, just one. This is going to be for your RGB strip. We're going to go ahead and feed the cables through first. So go ahead and orient this better for me. You guys may not be able to see it, but I need to be able to see what I'm doing. While I feed the cable from the air fans through the bottom so that it can be plugged into the Hue. There we go. With all the cables fed through the back, go ahead, reattach this to the bottom of the case. Check. Yep. We're good to go. Okay, now we're in the back, this mess, as you can see. This will be cleaned up. I will clean this up. But first we're going to attach our new fan controller, the NZXT Grid Plus version 3. And we're going to go ahead and start plugging in fans. It's going to go right. As you can see, it's magnetic, so this pulls right there. And if I wanted to, it comes with little sticky tape that I can plug it, just put on the back here, stick it down further. If I feel I need to, I'll go ahead. But for now, we're going to hit trust the magnet. And we're going to find all of our fans. We got 1, 2, and there should have been a third one. 3. There we go. Then we're going to go ahead and take our front panel fans, put them on the bottom. Slap that on there. I'm going to break out our Molex connector for power. It needs to power another USB 2.0. Like I said, I'm gonna fix this cabling. Just it's a little off right now. And our little noise doohickey. It has an extension cable to put it towards the front of the case. I'm going to stick it back here for now, see how well it does. If I need to, I'll go ahead and stick it somewhere else in the case. But for now, let's go ahead and just stick it right here. Our cable's underneath this guy. Again, for now, until I can figure a better way to do it. And now, we need to give power and USB privileges to all these USB 2.0 devices. What do we got? We have the NZXT USB extender. So we're going to go ahead and plug those in. We got our USB from the Kraken. Let's go ahead and plug that in here. It's magnetic, so you can pretty much put it anywhere, but I'm just going to leave it loose for the time being. From the Hue Plus. Come on, get in there. And from the Grid. I'm going to go ahead and take the USB 2.0 extender cable. I'm going to run it through to the front so I can get plugged into its proper port. And of course, attach our Molex connector. There we go. Now before I go flipping it back over, since we're already on this side, let's go ahead and take our Molex connectors, give them all power, USB extender, Hue Plus, the Grid Plus, version 3, and this one little bit to the front panel here of our case. And while we're back here, we'll go ahead and send one of the SATA cables up north for the Blu-ray drive. And give the other ones, the two SSHDs, their power. Oh, and SATA power to our cooler, the Kraken. There we go. Now we just plug in our graphics card, and we'll have everything in here that we can turn this on and see if everything works. Okay, and final thing, before we go ahead and give this guy a power test, remove this from the infinity mirror, and let's see if we can plug her in and see what happens. Okay, with everything plugged in, I should have a monitor here, but I don't. Everything's pretty hardwired up on my setup upstairs, but we're going to go ahead and just plug her in and make sure that everything's working. So we're going to go ahead and power her on. All right, got some lights going on. Hey, look at that. And we hit the power button, and if that all went well, and there we go. I got one fan that's not doing nothing right now, so I got to figure out why that is. I know, it's because it doesn't have a... Right now, I should have a monitor here that says, like, please install a hard drive that has an operating system installed. But I don't have that, so... Here we have... I mean, I'm sitting right here. This is actually really quiet, and there's a lot of wind coming off this 140 millimeter fan. See the beautiful lights going on. Check that out. This is my new PC. So I'm going to go ahead, now that I know everything's running, I'm going to figure out why the one fan isn't coming on. And then we're going to go install Windows. We're going to install everything that needs to be installed. And we're going to go ahead and go do some benchmarks. Hopefully I can figure out how to do that, and we'll have another video installed. For now, however, guys, thank you all so much for being here. For this very first build, it's a janky episode, I fully admit. I worked with what I had. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was instructional for some y'all. For now, however, guys, thank you all so much for being here, and I will see you all next time.